Chapter 3 Episks Phase 7, A Walk at Night. We talked about slimes late into the night. As I walked home in the dark, I noticed three behind me. Nobody was ever around here at this time of night. They maintained some distance from me, but followed along at a consistent speed. Their intentions were obvious, but it didn't seem like they were amateurs. Assuming they were a team, they knew how to coordinate. I wouldn't be able to turn back and flee in the other direction without defeating one of them. The path ahead kept empty, but they were prepared to ambush me somewhere. If I continued onward, I would reach the northern gate. City guards would be there, so if I was going to attack, it would have to happen before I got there. In that case, I needed to figure this out before I arrived at the gate. I turned right at the next corner, hurried to the following corner, and turned right again, where I heard some voices. Did he find out? It didn't look like it. Wait, around that corner? Oh, when one of the men shouted, I heard the sound of rough footsteps coming ever closer. I rushed to escape. This way. I tried to lose them, but they kept up the pursuit. Why, or how they always knew my location. Everyone in the area was after me. There were no buildings tall enough that they could have seen me from here in the region, either. I could only think of one to go. Hey, where's the kid? He keeps running. Now he went and hid. Has to be around here somewhere. I'm guessing he knows he's teeing then. We would have caught him by now if he didn't. It'll be a hell of a task finding him here. What a pain in the ass. Northeast Jimble wasn't much better than a slum, and it would hard to call it beautiful. Junk the roofs, and cloths acting as awnings lined the streets. The dark of night and my small size made it harder for them to track me here. They had met up with allies who were waiting to ambush me. Thankfully nobody's around to see us. We've got him outnumbered, just scour every ack. Take cover. Firing arrows, teleport. TCH. Over there. Wait, over here too. Does he have teleport? By teleporting between the obstacles in the road and firing arrows in fast-acting paralytic drugs from my medicine slimes, I got the situation under control in no time. Damn, poison arrows. You won't be able to move for a while. That poison's pretty powerful. You little brat. What have you done? What do you mean, what have I done? What were you trying to do? What's your goal? I and my spear at one of the men. HOH, don't expect this to be the last of it. Maybe if you hand over your lemur birds and all the money you've made, we'll either youch. Hot. Stop it. Why do you think you can talk down to me? I asked after I launched it from the spear. It didn't hit him, but the air from the blast was hot enough. Suddenly, something flew at me, but I knocked it out of the air by reflex. It was a monster that looked like an ordinary owl, but darker in color. It was called a regret owl. Their talons contained poison that the nervous system. By digging their sharp talons into the flesh of their enemies, they inflicted wounds that delivered severe. They were also nocturnal, so silently hunting for prey in the darkness was their specialty. Their feet and talons were used as materials for medicine, so I could identify this monster right away. But they didn't live in this ecosystem, so it had to be a familiar. These men must have tried to draw my attention so it could catch me off guard. What? How'd you do that? Don't know, I just hit it. I was paying attention to the sky, so I saw it coming. The strike broke its wing. The man looked at it lying on the ground and screamed. They must have had some way to see me if they could pursue me so closely, so I suspected there was a familiar somewhere. I didn't know exactly what it would be, though. Considering that it was dark in color and flew high in the sky, of course I couldn't find it and here. There they are. You there? Don't move. Guards. Why are they here so late? Hey, Ryoma. You alright? Guildmaster? Why are you here? I asked. I sent a lemur bird to the guards while I was on the run, but that didn't explain why Wergen was here. Knew you'd be fine. I saw these guards following a lemur bird on my way home, he explained. Presumably he knew it belonged to me and to along. Sorry I worried you? L wasn't that worried, to honest excuse me, but I'd appreciate it if you could explain what's going on here, a guard said. After that, I went to the guard station to answer questions. The guard I spoke to was stuffy, but surprisingly upbeat. After telling me not to get myself in trouble, I thanked him, then left and headed to my store the next morning. I was up late last night to begin with, then there was the attack and the interrogation, and the guard wouldn't let me go home to the mine by myself afterward. I was forced to sleep at the station instead. Not in a cell, thankfully, but a proper room. When they had to hold someone who committed no crimes, they used this ordinary room, absently. It had a fine as well. Good morning. Good morning, boss. You're certainly early today. Did something. I arrived at the store and found Carla and Lilin in the break room. I explained what happened last night, and when I got to the part the attack, interrupted. Boss, I expect that this incident is connected to the others. I'll go get the other employees. One moment, please, she said, then left the room. A few later, all the employees gathered in the break room. IJM, so what are we talking about? We're not getting fired, are we? Don't worry, everyone. Go on, boss. When I described the events of last night again, the tension in the room increased. That's about it, I concluded. As you can see, I made it out unharmed, but I suggest that you all go out during daylight hours when the streets are busy. Faye, Lilin, you might end up with more guard work to do. Faye and Lilin nodded to express they understood, so I continued. In the future, I think we'll need more guards. When I met with the guildmaster of the Adventurers Guild, he said he had a scheduled meeting with the other guildmasters OT the Merchants Guild, and that they would let me join in and consult with them. I'll go into the Merchants Guild at noon. I'd like either Carla or Carm to attend me, if you don't mind. Then I will, Carla ** Carm, you may look after the store. Understood, Carm said. Lastly, I have something to tell you, Chulma. What is it? The guildmaster said he'd like if I brought something we have for lunch, so I'd like to use the kitchen, if that's all right with you. That would help me out too. We can cook it together and use some of it for lunch at the store today. That's all from me, then. I'll relay the results of the meeting later. If any of you notice something, even the smallest thing, don't hesitate to report it to me. I think things might start to get hectic again, but thanks for sticking with me. As everyone else busily prepared to open the store, Chulma and I got CCX, King. Come in. Excuse me. Unlike any previous occasion that I went to the Merchants Guild, I was asked to wait in a second-rate room for a while, then led to an entirely different RCXJM from normal. There was a big, long table at which the guildmasters sat. Carla and I were prompted to sit in the chairs in front of us. Now then, I think you know why you were called here, but first, food, Wergen, seriously. What's the problem? The meeting's over. This is a personal gathering. Besides, we can talk while we eat. I took the food out of my item box and passed it out. Guildmaster. Call me by my name here. There's more than one guildmaster in the Iflget Wergen, then. Here's some sausage soup and bread. Oh. Looks goxy. My chef put a lot of work into it. And for you, Blasilla, I have this. Taylor, you can have this. So, I get a hamburger? Blasilla said. * This is like a feast. It seems quite soft, too. Elle got bread with raisins in it, and something crisp like pie crust. These both seem like they'd go well with. Blasilla had bad teeth, so she got something soft. Taylor was a light eater, so he got something that could work as stomach aches. These were all at Wergen's request, so they were acceptable. This bread doesn't smell like seeds. Neither does mine. Elle made this from. They were referring to a type of seed that the same as yeast. It was sold on store shelves as bread seeds. To use them, you just had to split the seeds open and add their contents to the dough. The simplicity of using and storing these seeds made them the most common method of baking bread. The bread I baked today, however, used natural as it was yeast itself was just cultivated from a fungus that happened to be ideal for fermentation, though, much like the seeds come naturally from plants. In any case, this type of yeast was produced by adding water to raisins, grains, and the like, and letting it naturally ferment. I have more time and money than ever before, and access to more ingredients than I did in the forest. I can things I wouldn't have been able to in the past. The yeast mkatmt a week to make, and it had to be stirred once a day during that time. My work hours were inconsistent and I could be away from home for days at a time back on Earth, so much like making charcoal, this was something I always longed to try in the past. Now it was for me to go to town and get all the tools and ingredients I needed. My business made more than enough for everything, even factoring in our emergency funds and the paychecks for my employees, and as the boss, I had the privilege of leaving home on time every day. I had no reason not to dabble in making yeast now. I also bought materials for researching the effects and composition of my drugs with reagents. My life was changing slowly but surely. Unlike on Earth, my days consisted of more than commuting to the office, working, and commuting back home again. What are you smiling about? For having just been attacked yesterday, you're awfully jolly. I'm happy for unrelated reasons. Yeesh. Judging by this, though, there seemed to be a problem. What problem would there have? They want to know what you were thinking walking home by yourself at night without help. I told them there was nothing to worry about. You can say that now, Wergen. We weren't there to see Ryoma. We could have offered assistance, but if he doesn't want it, that would be unnecessarily intrusive anyway. These two were freaked out about what happened to you last night. They were worried you might even close up shop. Well, with all the danger afoot, I at least want to know you feel it. Ryoma L thought you'd at least be somewhat. I've come this far with the help of a lot of people. It would be awfully selfish of me to give up after being attacked. Besides, I have employees to look after. If I closed up shop, some of them would end up on the streets. Anyway, what I'm here to discuss is what I should do next, I explained. Fine, fine. Lucilla said with an astounded smile. Then let's get to the point. Ryoma, your defenses, and stay put for a little while longer. Then we can take care of this. What do you mean? I'll mean that in due time, there won't be any more attackers. Ever since the criticism against us TJN to spread around, our own independent investigation. We've discovered who spread the rumors and instigated the crimes, but unfortunately, we lost track of them yesterday. We've our radius, but first information that you had been attacked. Also, the guys who attacked you last night only just arrived in town 2 days. Someone told them ATMT your cash and limor birds. I suspect that it was the same we had our eyes on. Are we sure? It's highly likely. The person who spread the rumors and ran away knows how if they target you, they probably think that we can't send too many people to pursue them, since we need some folks around to protect you. When the Duke's family asks you to after someone, you have to put the utmost effort into it. You never know what might, so you think they had me attacked for them to get away? That's how it seems to us, but the suspect has disappeared without a trace. I don't expect them to come, and if they do, they would try to do so as discreetly as possible. They are in no to try that, but in any case, we're not going to give up the chase that easily. You're no ordinary kid, Ryoma, and I think you're more than capable of defending yourself. We want you to do everything you can to protect yourself and your store on your own. We'll take care of the culprit. We already formed a search party out of Wellness Party. Mia, Jeff, and Lieben the space magic user. They're on the culprit's tail, but the culprit knows their way around those roads, so there's no guarantee we'll catch them. Anyway, Ryoma, you've been silent for a while. Are you all right? Lucilla asked. I thought about it for a bit. My first priority is to do everything I can to defend my store. I don't worry too much. I didn't say I wouldn't help at all. I talked to Gordon and Cher about it. They are not fit for a search but they do have some talent, and they are well regarded in town. They should be ideal for guarding the store. Jeff also suggested a guy he trusts. He's not with a guild, though, so I can't vouch for him. That meant I at least had Faye, Lilin, and those two adventurers. I didn't know the Jeff recommended, but I couldn't imagine he would suggest someone weak. It would have to be put on hold for now, but expanding our store security to some extent was a good idea. Carla, assuming we're also working with the city guards, what do you think about hiring them? I asked. We don't know how many men we're up against, so it's hard to say what we need. Considering the size of the store, though, that should be enough. But won't you need TM/guards for going out? That wouldn't be necessary. Bodyguards would be more disadvantageous than not, if anything. In the event that I was unable to defeat an opponent, my best option would be to flee, but if someone else were present, it would complicate matters. I wouldn't be able to bring them along with space magic, but it would be hard to leave them too. If I was going to leaving them behind, it would have been better to either fight by myself or run away in the first place. I'll assume we're up against humans. They may be able to use familiars, but generally humans, yes. Then I'll be better off on my own, I said. Earth didn't have monsters, so all of my comp's JT skills were meant for human. I was to fighting my own kind. L to train all the time with my grandfather, so I'm best against humans or humanoid monsters. You also seem to have a decent track record with that so far. Wergen assures us that you can fight. Don't worry about it, I've got a better eye for combat talent than you two. We went on to discuss specific defense plans and what should be done following an attack. Lastly, tailor me 2 documents. This recognizes that Ryoma has the talent to handle slimes and limor birds. What is this? That one's proof that I think you can use familiars perfectly well. This one is a pledge stating that while your store uses monsters, its transactions are under the jurisdiction of the Merchants Guild. Guild cords already existed to use as proof, so these documents were seldom, but they did have Taylor's signature, so maybe they would come in handy at some point. If Taylor might blame himself for getting me wrapped up in this incident,